My name is Dick Queen. I'm the mayor in Rossville. I'm going to read a book called The Frogs Wore Red Suspenders. The frogs wore red suspenders and the pigs wore purple vests, and they sang to all the chickens and the ducks upon their nests. They croaked and oinked a serenade, the ducks and chickens sighed, then laid enormous spandreled eggs and quacked and clucked with pride. In the heart of South Dakota. In the heart of South Dakota, Jenny J. stepped off a train, leapt upon a nearby bison, raced across the windy plain. On that day in South Dakota, Jenny J. sat on a fence, gazing at the wondrous mountain topped with giant presidents. Carpenter, carpenter. Carpenter, carpenter, build us a house, a sweet little house for a mouse and a spouse. A mouse and a spouse and a family too. We know that you can, and we hope that you do. Build it of brick so it's cozy and warm to keep us from harm in a cold winter storm. As soon as you finish, we'll pay you with cheese. Carpenter, carpenter, build our house, please. Winnie Appleton. Out of bed hopped Winnie Appleton, bounced a ball upon the floor, bounced and bounced it through the hallway, down the stairs and out the door. Through the streets of Minneapolis, Winnie Appleton bounced that ball, bounced and bounced it on the sidewalk, bounced and bounced it off the wall. Winnie Appleton crossed the river, on the bridge she bounced the ball, bounced and bounced it all that morning till she finally reached St. Paul. In a winter meadow. In a winter meadow, icy breezes blow. Snowshoe hares are running softly through the snow. Up and down they scurry, darting left and right. Snowshoe hares are running, dressed in winter white. Peanut Peg and Peanut Pete. Peanut Peg and Peanut Pete on a bright Atlanta street called in voices loud and clear, "Peanuts, get your peanuts here." Peanut cookies, peanut cakes, peanut butter, peanut shakes, peanut ices, peanut pies, peanut sauce, and peanut fries. All day long they gaily sell peanuts till inside the shell. Peanut salty, peanut sweet, Peanut Peg and Peanut Pete. Spotter and Swatter. Spotter and Swatter, two talented otters, crack mussels and clams on their bellies all day. They swallow down dozens, then play with their cousins and chase one another through Monterey Bay. There was a tiny baker. There was a tiny baker who had a tiny shop. He baked a tiny cookie with frosting on the top. He snatched it from the oven and ate that cookie up, then washed it down with sarsaparilla from a tiny cup. In Indianapolis. In Indianapolis, what did we see? An elephant perched on a sycamore tree, sipping warm milk through an oversized straw. In Indianapolis, that's what we saw. In Indianapolis, what did we do? We danced on the green with a blue kangaroo. The elephant sneezed, so we ran off and hid. In Indianapolis, that's what we did. In Winnemucca. In Winnemucca, way out west, a monkey sat in a bluebird's nest. The bluebird squawked and fussed all day till the monkey ran to San Jose. Sarah Small. In her garden, Sarah Small grows galoshes, short and tall. Shirts of yellow, hats of red, beautify her flower bed. Near pajamas, row on row, multicolored sweaters grow. Neckties flutter in the breeze underneath the mitten trees. Shoes of every shape and size blossom right before her eyes. Stocking vines adorn the wall, planted there by Sarah Small. Barnaby Boone. Barnaby Boone in his yellow balloon flew from El Paso one bright afternoon. He drifted for days through the blue Texas skies, feasting on hamburgers, hot dogs, and pies. He drifted up north and he drifted out east until he had finished the last of his feast. He ran out of food, so he came back to earth, landing his yellow balloon in Fort Worth. In the town of Tucumcari. In the town of Tucumcari, Teeny, Dobbs, and Tiny Grand hopped atop a lizard's back and headed south across the sand. They were noisy, they were merry, till they reached the town of Hobbs. There the lizard bucked and tossed them, Tiny Grand and Teeny Dobbs. Baby in a high chair. Baby in a high chair, baby in a bib, baby in a stroller, baby in a crib. Baby with the giggles, baby with a smile, such a lovely baby, happy all the while. In Tuscaloosa. In Tuscaloosa after dark, the donkeys gathered in the park. The ducks and chickens came along, and an old-time band played an old-time song. There were pigs and cows in the green grass field, and the cows all mooed, and the pigs all squealed, and the ducks quacked, and the donkeys brayed, and the chickens clucked as the music played. They danced a jig and they danced a reel, then they all sat down to a fine hot meal of corn and okra dumpling stew at that Alabama barbecue. Tommy lost a penny. Tommy lost a penny, a nickel and a dime. Tommy lost his shiny watch and does not know the time. Tommy found his penny, his nickel and his dime. His watch is in a magpie's nest and keeping perfect time. Furry, furry squirrel. Furry, furry squirrel, hurry, hurry, hop. Scurry up the tree trunk to the very top. When you reach the branches, hurry, turn around. Furry, furry squirrel, scurry to the ground. 7 snails and 7 snakes. 7 snails and 7 snakes swam around the 5 Great Lakes. They took 7 years to go from Thunder Bay to Buffalo. Down in the Grand Canyon. Down in the Grand Canyon, a little hen sat, thinking of this thing and thinking of that. But she couldn't think of a way that a hen could get to the top of that canyon again. Her legs and her wings weren't up to the task, and as for a ride, there was no one to ask. Down in the Grand Canyon, she's sitting there yet, watching the sun rise and watching it set. Ten brown bears. 10 brown bears with a big bow ties gobbled plates of apple pies, and with every pie they ate, they piled up an empty plate. When they had a 10-foot pile, they arose in a single file, and with bellies fat and fed, 10 brown bears marched home to bed. The end. How I Spent My Summer Vacation by Wallace Bleff. When summer began, I headed out west. My parents had told me I needed a rest. Your imagination, they said, is getting too wild. It will do you some good to relax for a while. So they put me aboard a westbound train to visit Aunt Fern in her house on the plain. But I was captured by cowboys, a wild-looking crowd. Their manners were rough and their voices were loud. I'm trying to get to my aunt's house, I said, but they carried me off to their cow camp instead. The cattle boss growled as he told me to sit. We need a new cowboy. Our old cowboy quit. We could sure use your help, so what do you say? I thought for a minute, then I told him, okay. Then I wrote to Aunt Fern so she'd know where I'd gone. I said not to worry, I wouldn't be long. That night I was given a new set of clothes. Soon I looked like a wrangler from my head to my toes. But there's more to a cowboy than boots and a hat. I found out the next day and the day after that. Each day I discovered some new cowboy tricks, from roping and riding to making fire with sticks. Slowly the word spread all over the land. That Wrangler Kid Bleff is a first-rate cowhand. The day finally came when the roundup was through. Aunt Fern called, come on over, bring your cowboys with you. The food was delicious, there was plenty to eat, and the band that was playing just couldn't be beat. But suddenly I noticed a terrible sight. The cattle were stirring and stamping with fright. It's a scene I remember till my very last day. They're going to stampede, I heard someone say. Just then they came charging. They charged right at me. I looked for a hiding place, a rock or a tree. What I found was a tablecloth spread on the ground, so I turned like a matador and spun it around. It was a new kind of cowboying, a fantastic display. The cattle were frightened and stampeded away. Then the cowboys all cheered, "Bluff's a true buckaroo." They shook my hand and slapped my back, and Aunt Fern hugged me too. And that's how I spent my summer vacation. I can hardly wait for show and tell. The end.